Hello everyone and welcome back to week number 2 review and week number 3 preview in Central Minnesota's finest fantasy football league. I am, without further ado, Commissioner Dick Schutz. And before I go into reviewing week number 2, I want to go back and remind everybody how week 1 went for the league. And again, Steph beat Ryan 177 to 149. Kyle beat Dusty 205 156. Turtle beat Mike 202 to 194. And Troy beat Jared 162 to 123. Now let's fast forward to week number 2. Every single game that we had in week number 2, every matchup was divisional based. So everybody was able to either gain on their divisional opponents or lose ground on their divisional opponents. So let's dive right on into it. I'm just going to go ahead randomly out of the 4 and start with the matchup between Kyle and Troy. Troy ended up beating Kyle 153 to 140. One of the lower scoring matchups in the league in week number 2. And Troy was able to get the win. He now moves to 2-0 on the season while Kyle falls to 1-1. Troy was projected to get 197 points while Kyle was projected to get 182. So both squads were well below their projected line, and that's actually been a trend so far through the first 2 weeks all around fantasy football. Just casually looking, the big days for Troy, Phillip Rivers had 22 points, Chris Hogan had 18, while for Kyle, he had another strong performance from his tight end position in Rob Gronkowski in 25, who bounced back from a slow start against Kansas City in week 1. He also had really good performances from Alex Smith with 18. But other than that, it was a lot of single digits for both teams. Luckily for Troy, despite just scoring 153 points, he did end up getting the win. That's a rarity to score 155 or less and win. But Troy was able to do so, so congrats to him. Again, Troy moves to 2-0 while Kyle moves to 1-1. Now let's go ahead to the matchup between Jared and Turtle. This was the highest scoring matchup of the week. Turtle beat Jared 235 to 195. Turtle moves to 2-0 on the season, while Jared falls to 0-2. Just quickly looking at this right now, Turtle was projected to get 197 points, so he was well above his projected line, while Jared was projected to get 195, so Yahoo nailed Jared's projected total right on the nose, which doesn't happen too often. But when I diagnosed this matchup and dissected a little bit, both teams scored a lot. In this league, if you're over 185, 190 points, the winning percentage goes up through the roof to at least 70%. Once you get to 200%, it skyrockets even more up to about 85% for a winning percentage. So both teams were worthy of winning. Unfortunately, one team could only win, and that was Turtle. So quickly looking at it, like I said, both teams scored a lot. Turtle had great performances from Aaron Rodgers with 24, Alshon Jeffrey with 22, C.J. Anderson with 31, Todd Gurley with 25, Crabtree with 3 touchdowns. He had 32 points. So Turtle was dominant in the skilled positions. For Jared, he had 40 from Tom Brady, who lit up the Saints, 26 from Travis Kelce. So a lot of in-betweeners from there as far as team points go for Jared. He definitely showed up after losing his big running back in David Johnson in week 1 to what could be a season-ending injury or close to. So, it was a good performance for Jared's team to bounce back after not only losing to Troy in week 1, but also losing David Johnson and coming out and scoring 195 points. Unfortunately, it wasn't good enough for the win. Let's go ahead and fast forward to the matchup between Dusty and Ryan. Now, this is what's going to sound crazy here, Dusty. I apologize for this. This was not me whatsoever. But going into Tuesday morning, this was a 158-158 draw. Now, Yahoo did some research like they do for every single game. They had to make sure they had every statistic right. Unfortunately, for Landon Collins, the defensive player on the Giants, they had him down for a pass deflection, which was a 2-point statistic here in fantasy football. Unfortunately, they did go back to the game, and they saw that he did not deflect a pass, that it either was deflected by somebody else or it was deflected by the receiver before it hit his hands. So what that did is it took those 2 points away, and it gave Ryan the 2-point win with a 158-156 victory. So initially this was a tie going into Tuesday morning, but come Tuesday afternoon, after Yahoo did all their dissecting and all their research into every single statistic in every single game, they found out that Landon Collins did not deflect a pass in the game. I don't remember when it was, but that they found that it did not happen. So Ryan sneaks away with a 158-156 win. Ryan now moves to 1-1, while Dusty falls to 0-2. Ryan was projected to get 197 points, while Dusty was projected to get 197 as well. So both teams went well below their projected lines. Real quickly, Big Ben for Ryan had 20 points. Kareem Hunt had 25, and he had 23 points from Tampa Bay's defense. For Dusty, he had 20 from Jarvis Landry, 20 from Melvin Gordon, and mixed in a few teens from there from his other skilled positional players. A couple clunkers in this one. Jordy Nelson got hurt early on against Atlanta. He never returned, got 0. And Kerwin Williams, the backup running back for Arizona, came in and he just put up 2 points, while Austin Hooper put up 2 points. All this for Ryan's team. For Dusty's team, 7 points from Amari Cooper, 5 from Brandon Cooks, 8 from Rudolph, 5 from Trope Pryor. So just when you break this matchup down and you look at the balance, there's just not enough balance. When you start at the top, it goes from early 20s all the way down to single digits in a hurry. So clearly see why both teams were well below their projected line. Now let's go to the fourth and final matchup in week 2 to review, and that is between Mike's team and Steph's team. And Mike ended up winning this matchup 182 to 159, defeating Steph. So Mike goes to 1-1 on the season, while Steph falls to 1-1. Mike was projected to get 201 points, while Steph was projected to get 194 points. So both teams, again, below their projected line, which has happened way more often than not thus far in the season. I'm not sure if that's just a lot of big-name players not stepping up and showing out so far, or if it's just that other players are taking over. I don't know. If I had to take a guess and pinpoint, I would say there's just a lot of big-name players that haven't broken out yet. They're still in preseason mode, and hopefully those guys do. I think a lot of us would appreciate that. But when I dissect Mike's team with 182 points, he had a huge day from his quarterback position, 27 from Drew Brees and 23 from Derek Carr, 28 points from Ty Montgomery and 23 from Devontae Freeman in Atlanta, while Steph had 30 points from Carson Wentz, who's on fire so far in Philly, and she had 23 points from Devontae Adams, and a few teens mixed in with their wide receivers and running backs. So, again, also with Steph's team, she loses Greg Olsen, who fractured his foot in the win against Buffalo. So now Steph's going to have to look at her tight end situation moving forward and determine what she should do. But a huge injury for her, and hopefully she can figure out something to fix that moving forward. That position has been pretty weak in fantasy football thus far, the tight end position. So, after the 4 matchups here in Week 2, let's go ahead and look at the updated standings. In the purple division, we have Mike in first place at 1-1. We have Steph in second place. She is 1-1. Ryan is in third place in the purple division at 1-1, and Dusty is 0-2, and he is in fourth place in the purple division. In the gold division, Turtle leads the way at 2-0. He is in first place in the gold division, while Troy is in second place in the gold division at 2-0. Turtle and Troy are the only 2 undefeated teams in this year's Fantasy Football League. In third place in the gold division is Kyle. He is 1-1. And in fourth place in the gold division is Jared. He is 0-2. Him and Dusty, Jared and Dusty, are the only 0-2 teams in the Fantasy Football League. Now, as I fast forward to week number 3, I see, again, 4 more amazing matchups that have a lot on the line. Because, so far in the season, everyone's kind of beating up themselves. We have 4 more matchups that are going to probably equate to the same thing. We have Ryan, he's facing Jared. Ryan is now 1-1, while Jared is 0-2. In the second game, you got Kyle, he's 1-1, and he's playing Turtle, who is 2-0, so that's a huge divisional game. While Mike plays Dusty, Mike is 1-1, while Dusty is 0-2, so that's a huge divisional game. And the other non-divisional game is between Troy, who is 2-0, and he plays Steph, who is now 1-1. So 2 divisional games this week and 2 non-divisional games. So, definitely, when you look at the divisional games, huge ones, and then even the non-divisional games, those are big as well. Again, after week 2, I see a lot of parity, and I see this league, I see all of us beating up each other. I feel like, whoever comes out up top, whoever wins this thing is going to go through a battle, going to go through a dogfight. So, that's just my gut feeling after 2 weeks, and I think, week 3 is going to determine that. The biggest story, like I said, is that a lot of teams are going well below their projected lines, so it'll be interesting to see if the NFL offenses start to score more here in week 3, and we see those numbers jump back up. We had a lot of 200s last season. A lot of teams scored 200. And thus far, it's been pretty tough to do. So I see that changing here in week 3. I think all of our teams are going to do a lot better, and I suspect that at least 4 of us will have 200 points or more this week. And in years past, that's equated to a 90% winning percentage. So with that said, I am Commissioner Dick Schutz, here reviewing week number 2 and previewing week number 3. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope you're ready and set for another week of action starting tomorrow night with the Rams and 49ers beginning week number 3. We'll talk to you next Tuesday or Wednesday, everybody. Take care.